Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Catching Up with the Corn Dogs. I'm Andrew Mild. On this episode, I spoke to Indiana Tech right-handed pitcher Ryan Troxel, who attended Valpo University, was their 2019 team MVP, and he talks about something he's really proud of, and that's being an academic All-American. So it's a long conversation, so I won't keep this one long. He had a lot of great things to say, so I'm excited for you all to meet Ryan Troxel. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of Catching Up with the Corn Dogs. I'm Andrew Mild, and joining me is fellow region rat Ryan Troxel of Valparaiso High School, now with Indiana Tech. Ryan, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you, Andrew? Good to talk to you.
I'm all right. It's great to finally meet you. So you and I talked about this a little bit before we jumped on the podcast, but how did this weekend go? Indiana Tech.
So we start out
opened
every
up.
year. Every year we go and play a really tough schedule. You know, you got to play the best. You got to be the best. You got to beat the best. So we played two ranked teams in the top 20, and we played another team that's really good, receiving votes in the top 25. And you know, we went 1-2, but we played really well, and we're going to continue to just play the best teams when we go down to Florida. We played more top 5 teams, and you know, we had 1-2. We had a really close loss to Middle Georgia State. We lost to Tennessee Wesleyan, who just knocked off the #1 team in the country today. And then we beat a really good CIU, Columbia International team from South Carolina. And yeah, so it was a really good weekend for us. I think we look a lot better this year as opposed to last year at this time, because last year we had a really tough start. We were ranked number 12 to start the year, but we started off like 0-7. So yeah, we play the good teams, and you know, your record may not say that you look like the best team in the country, but it's tough. Like, that was our first time playing outside. You know, we've been in the field house or on the soccer field all winter. So to get out there is awesome. Just to be back playing baseball, man. It's just awesome.
Yeah. When you and I were texting, that was definitely the outcome that you and I both agreed on. It was great to have baseball back, considering that MLB's still in lockout when we recorded this. And baseball is just baseball at this point. And good thing that in college sports is always strength of losses. And for you guys, your strength of losses is really high. When you just mentioned that Tennessee Wesleyan knocked off #1 Gwinnett today. They were ranked number 5 when you played them, and number 19 and the heartbreak, as you mentioned. And you know, it's first weekend of the year. You can't expect to win all of them early on. And as long as you guys are going to learn, but you pitched very well. You were telling me.
It was a good outing, and you know, like every single year since I was a freshman, you know, coming straight out, and I was actually at St. Xavier, I've started every single year. I've pitched the first time against Tennessee Wesleyan. So every year I've progressively got better. My first outing my freshman year, I gave 1 inning and I gave my first college homer. So I had my welcome college moment, you know, and I'm like, wow, this is really hard. And then the next year, you know, I didn't do as well. I pitched longer. And then this year I finally had my outing where, you know, they didn't hit me hard. And like, I knew, I was like, all right, I'm getting better, you know, and we're just going to continue to get better as the season goes on.
Indiana Tech is a D2 school.
NAIA.
Right? NAIA. Okay. Yep. That's right. Because I remember working for the Thunderbolts. There was a player that played at Tennessee Wesleyan and took him to the national championship.
Oh, for sure.
And then he went to the major leagues after that. After playing like 3 appearances for the Bolts, and he was gone.
Legit. I mean, we faced a guy. We faced most of the arms we faced this weekend were, you know, at least 87, and you know, like the guy we faced for Tennessee Wesleyan, he's their number 2. He's 89, 92, and then we faced another guy at Middle Georgia State who was upper 8. So they get all the D1 kickbacks, and guys that get drafted, you know, like their catcher got drafted already out of JUCO, and like, yeah, they are legit. Like it's a D1 program, and playing those guys, like, it just opens your eyes. Like, there is literally good players at every single level. Like, go where you can play, basically, you know?
Yeah, definitely what you've heard. And baseball, I think baseball has way more open avenues to the professional rankings than any other sport, than the NBA or the NFL, where it's like you D1 or you're most likely not going to make it. Exactly. Baseball, as you mentioned, can go in so many different avenues.
Yeah, if you're good enough, regardless of level, like, they'll find you, you know?
Exactly. Speaking of you pitching very well, it's something you did your senior year at Valpo High School, 1.97 ERA. And that year you were named the team MVP. So what kind of feelings did you have when they announced that you were going to be the MVP of the Vikings?
That was tough. So that was an awesome moment. So like when I was growing up, you know, I was never like the best. And even like starting high school, freshman, sophomore, junior, you know, I was always like a good player. You know, I was able to commit to St. Xavier, but then like I think just the confidence came, you know, and I was able to have a really good year. When we had a really good year, one of the best ones that Valpo actually had until this year when we actually won the sectional finally, which was awesome. We lost to a really good Crown Point team, which is where I'm playing.
I'm a Crown Point alum, so
mm-hmm.
that was nice to
Yep.
hear.
So that was actually my first loss that year. So that was tough, but yeah, it was obviously an honor to, you know, be named MVP and all area and whatever I got. And it kind of gave me that confidence, like, hey, like, you know, you can pitch with anybody. And then obviously I've went on to, this is my third year of college baseball now. So I'm still going.
You mentioned some of the awards you got being named All-State, but one of them, and I've never actually talked to this with anyone else on the podcast, is you were also an academic All-State athlete. So diving into, you know, on the different side, you know, student athlete, as they always say, students first, athletes second. Can you express how important it is for athletes to focus on their academics when they're not on the baseball field?
For sure. Like, especially in college. I mean, I was able to be academic All-American this year in the NAIA. And I mean, it's time management. That's all it is. You know, a lot of professors, like if you take the time and you are collaborating with them, like, you know, you're going to say, hey, I'm going to miss, or like you email, hey, I'm going to miss this date, this date, this date, this date, this date, this date, this date. And they're like, okay, like I'll work with you. So it's more just like being proactive and managing your time and just getting things done when you can and being organized. So yeah, it's very important. Like, because I mean, you know, like everybody, you know, 99.9999% of players are not going to play in the major leagues. So you got to know what you're going to do after this.
Yeah. So time management, communication, and working with your professors is all three importance for, you know, for people that want to be college athletes. Is, as you mentioned, there's going to be thousands of players across this country. They're playing the same sport. And most of them aren't going to go to the major leagues. And as you said, you got to find out your backup plan. What are you going to do when you graduate with your diploma at your respective school? So yeah, that's just, I felt like that's an important conversation for us to have, because I was the same way. I was at Dean's List when I was an athlete 3 years at Manchester. It's my first year without baseball, but I learned time management is very important. Whatever you do, not even just, you know, academics.
Yeah, I think it helps you in life, you know, when you're able to do that and manage that. And now it's like, all right, well, now I'm not playing baseball anymore. Like, this is kind of easy now.
I'm not gonna lie, it kind of is being able to get stuff done now without worrying about going to practice or anything. Well, you mentioned it before. You started your college career at St. Xavier. Unfortunately, that year was 2020. So it was cut short due to COVID. Where were you when you heard the news, and how devastated were you knowing that you were going to have to go home and not play college baseball for the rest of the year?
So we were actually we were in Florida at the time, right? I had just had my first college start against Weber International. They were ranked at the time. That was awesome. Like, you know, I was so happy. I was supposed to get 1 or 2 starts the next week when we started conference play. When we went back home, we were supposed to play 1 conference series in Florida before we came back. We'd been there for a week and a half, and we were all sitting in like we had like a big townhouse for like the players. And we were watching the basketball game when they canceled everything and took everybody off the court when Rudy Gobert got it or whatever.
Yeah, the Jazz and the Mavs, right?
Yep, Jazz and the Mavs. And we were all watching it there, and we're like, oh my gosh, like, what's going on? We're all sitting there like, you know, we were getting ready. We were going to play the next day. And then all of a sudden our coach texts us like, hey, like, you know, we don't know what's going on, but we're not playing, you know, we're leaving on the first flight tomorrow. And so we were all super bummed, and we didn't know what was going to happen at the time, obviously. So we went into the airport, and it was, you know, completely like nobody was there, and it was like surreal. And so we came back, and then like 2 weeks happened, we were at home, and then it was like, yep, your season's over. It was really hard, especially like seeing all the seniors, and especially like we had a good momentum, you know, we were playing good baseball, and I was so excited for that team. And then we just were, it was done. It was surreal, you know, and especially for all the high schoolers, that was even worse that year.
Yeah, there's been a bunch of 2020 seniors that have appeared on the podcast, and they all talked about how it
Yeah.
wasn't like just not being able to play, but not being able to be with those group of guys anymore. And
Yeah. You grow up.
college baseball
Yeah.
usually starts a little bit earlier than high
Mhm.
school. So you
Yeah.
guys actually got some games in. They didn't get
Yes.
any games at all. They
I
practiced
know.
and then gone. It was done.
Yeah.
And my sister was a graduate of 2020, and
Really.
that was not a fun experience to see what she had to go
Yeah.
through. No prom until like later. Graduation was in
Mhm.
July.
That's tough.
It was very odd. Yeah.
Very tough.
Well, and then this. So you didn't go back to St. Xavier after 2020. You instead
Yes.
transferred
Mhm.
to Indiana Tech. Why?
Mhm. So it was a tough situation for sure. So we had our reigning coach of the year, Rocco Mazzuto, who recruited me out of high school, and one of my favorite coaches. And I would never like he was telling me the whole time like, hey, like he's like, you're gonna be one of our our guys next year, like we're gonna stay. I was never even thinking about transferring, but he had something happen with the athletic director at the time. She's not the athletic director anymore, and she fired him. No one really knows why. They didn't get along, and so he texted me and he was like, "Hey, like this isn't gonna work out." He's actually currently coaching at Calumet St. Joe in Whiting, so he's an assistant there. He's the Crestwood Parks director. He's awesome guy. I still talk to him all the time, and he helped me. I was able to train that summer. The whole quarantine I was training, and then I sent out some videos on Twitter, and I had some options, and it was between IU Southeast and Indiana Tech, and I chose Indiana Tech. It was a little closer to home, and it was a good choice for me academically and athletically at the time, and so that's where I've been for the past 2 years.
And it's a beautiful campus. I've been,
Yeah.
I went to Manchester, so it's only
Mhm.
what, like, I
Right.
believe it's like an
We play
hour
Manchester
drive.
this year, I believe, in the
Yeah.
midweek.
And
Yeah.
I'm currently at Butler, and they're
Oh boy.
playing Manchester March 2nd. So I'm
Really?
excited.
Oh,
Yeah, a
nice.
lot of friends coming back to play. So I'm hoping
That's awesome.
to be calling that game like I am for you guys this year.
Nice. That's awesome.
I was just saying that Indiana Tech has a beautiful campus. I was
Yeah.
really impressed when I went there a few times.
Mhm.
So are you happy that you transferred?
Um, yes, because it would have been tough. I loved St. X and I loved, my time there, all my teammates. Um, but I'm glad, it's just broadened my horizons a little bit, and I mean, we have a good program here. We came one win away from the World Series last year. So, I mean, it's awesome. Winning games heals anything, it heals a lot of problems. So, I came here because I wanted to win because it gave me a chance at, going to Lewiston, Idaho for the World Series. So I think we got a real good shot at that at some point in the next 2 years. So
Well,
so
you're
I'm
saying
glad
that
I'm glad I came here.
one win away from going to the NAIA World Series.
For
What are your
sure.
goals for this season with both Tech and for the Lake County Corn
Okay.
Dogs?
Ooh, okay. So Tech for sure. Individual stats are I don't care about that. I just want to help the team, however I can. But obviously we need to win conference again. That'd get us into the national tournament. We'd like to do better in the conference tournament this year. We lost 2 in a row last year, which we won the regular season, so it didn't matter. But I think we can do better in that. But then, yeah, I mean, finish what we started, and be able to do the dog pile instead of watch Oklahoma Wesleyan, dog pile in front of us. So that was definitely tough. So that's our main goal, go back to Lewiston. And then as far as the summer, like, I'm excited. Like, as soon as I saw the team was the Corn Dogs, I was like, you know what? Like, I wasn't sure if I was gonna train or play summer ball this year, and I was like, you know what? Like, I gotta try to play for this team. So I reached out to Ralph and and Bobby Morris was the recruiting coordinator, and I was like, hey, like I know that guy. So I met a lot. I spent a lot of time with him growing up, with Morris, and I played with Morris growing up. So it was perfect fit, and so yeah, I just want to be able to pitch and have some fun, and yeah, get some innings and have some fun. It's gonna be fun.
So what you're telling me is, if I'm hearing this right, the team name influenced you to come
Yes,
play for the. So
100%.
that must mean that was the questions is thoughts on the name. I've been asking this, so I'm pretty clear that you think the name is the greatest name of all time.
It's pretty cool. I mean, like I played for Midwest Collegiate League during the COVID year. I played for the Minutemen. And
Oh,
like
okay.
I was originally going to play for the Oilmen, but then they needed new pitchers, so I was like, hey, I'll go play for them. Like that's no problem with me. It'll get more innings. But yeah, I mean, when they said they were at, like have a new team, and it said that it was going to be Crown Point, I heard from a couple people. I was like, oh, that's really cool, And I wasn't sure at the time, obviously, what I was going to do. But then I saw the name and I saw like all the people like responding to it and like how it was going to be in Crown Point. And I was like, dang, like that's pretty cool, So it feels like it'd be a good experience. And I mean, yeah, this is pretty cool, So that's yeah, it's definitely a cool name.
Well, I'm glad the
It's
news has
unique.
traveled to the neighboring Porter County,
Yeah, for
with
sure.
Valpo and Chesterton out there. So who influenced you with your love for baseball? Who was it?
So my whole family is baseball players. So my dad only played in high school, but my grandpa Troxel, who just recently passed away this past fall, he taught me everything about baseball. Like I mean, everything. So every game before I pitch, I write his initials on the back of the mound. I've done that for a couple of years now, and he just recently passed away. But he taught me everything, about baseball. I couldn't even start. Like he would write me pages of notes after outings that he would come watch me pitch, and just like
Wow.
talking about things. He coached at Gary Wirt for 39 years, I believe. He coached Ron
Wow.
Kittle, who was the 1983 Rookie of the Year for the White Sox. And yeah, he did so much for the community as far as baseball. They call him a region coaching legend. They had an NWI Times article about him when he passed away. So yeah, he's definitely the main point, but like my dad has always been there supporting me, and my mom as well. And my whole family's just been, my whole family was baseball players. My cousins, two of them started playing in college. They don't play anymore, but I mean, we've all been playing baseball growing up, whether it's wiffle ball in the backyard or, on travel teams together. So it's built into my blood.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. My family's always been the same way too.
Right.
And I know about the wiffle ball. I don't know about you, but I've beaten Barry Bonds in like 40 home run derbies growing up.
Wow, that's
So
impressive. You deserve to be in the Hall of Fame then. Apparently
yeah,
he does.
I really should be. And I did steroid free at the same time.
Yeah,
So I'm
exactly.
not tooting my
That's a
own
lot.
horn here.
That's a lot.
Um, so I guess that kind of goes with another question I had was what kind of superstitions do you have? And would you mention your grandpa's initials on the back of the mound?
He was a huge superstition guy. I remember the first thing he taught me was, if you're ever catching and someone tries to charge your pitcher, he says you got to throw the ball back to the pitcher as quick as you can because he can do a lot of damage with the ball more than he can do with the bat. That was the first thing he taught me when I was probably 9 years old. So that's the one that I've always remembered.
Well, that's great. Well, thinking about it, if your grandpa was coaching 40 years in
Yeah, he's seen
Gary,
some stuff. He was actually he played fast pitch softball back in his day too with the Gary or the Valpo Kings, and that was serious back in the day. Like they were, yeah, he was the catcher, and he said he's been in a couple fights and it was serious. Like he said he almost got stabbed once. It's crazy, crazy, awesome stuff. He's
I
in
would
the
have
Indiana Fast Pitch Softball Hall of Fame.
I would have loved to have met Grandpa Droxel.
I know.
That sounds amazing.
He's an awesome guy.
Almost.
And if you talk to him, he'd talk to you for about 6 hours. You couldn't stop him.
Well, I feel like if he would hear me broadcast, he'd come back with a page of notes for
Oh,
me too.
100%. 100%. He would tell you everything that he ever knew. And, he was a broadcaster too, so he
Yeah, I
did
would have loved to
basketball,
have heard the
baseball.
story about how he almost got stabbed at a fast pitch
Yeah,
softball game.
that was serious, man. They played for money and everything. Craziness.
So let me ask you this. What is your favorite baseball smell?
Oh my gosh. There's so many good ones. So as far as sound, it's cleats on the pavement. That was the first
Yeah.
thing I thought of. So cleats on the pavement. Oof, gosh, best baseball smell. It's got to be like the fresh grass when it's like
Yes.
just cut. And yeah, when it's just cut. And like, so when we went out to Georgia, walking out and you're like, you smell it because they had just trimmed their grass before the weekend. And I'm like, man, like this is awesome. We've been covered in snow. Our field is still covered in 2 feet of snow, but yeah, that's my smell for sure.
Yeah.
That's, yeah.
I've always enjoyed, again, you said cleats on pavement, the fresh cut grass at a baseball field, which good news is, I don't know if you've ever been to Legacy Fields where the Corn Dogs are going to be playing. Yeah. It's real grass. It's not turf. But I think a lot of the games are going to be on turf. I don't know. I just never been a huge fan. No, but that's beautiful. I love that. I'm excited to call a game there and watch you guys play. I don't know about you, but like the smell of the rubber pellets has never been like my favorite smell. It can't replace
non-significant.
No.
Smell. Yeah.
Another one I'd put up there are like fresh hot dogs. Like nothing's better than hot dogs.
Corn dogs.
I have to say there's a difference between corn dogs and hot dogs. But I'm excited for corn dogs at the baseball field. So that's gonna be great.
That's the first question my girlfriend asked me: is there gonna be corn dogs at the concession stand?
Yes, there will be.
Okay, I had to get that question answered.
Yeah, you can confirm it that there will be corn dogs. Okay, so good. She will not have to worry.
Okay, that's good.
Well, maybe what we'll do is I'll write you notes when you pitch, and then I'll give them to you.
Yeah, that'd be awesome, man.
Yeah, we'll do that for you.
4 more strikes.
Yeah, stop walking them. All right, more fastballs on the corners, please. Get me some strikeouts so I can get really excited up here.
Yep.
Well, that's all I have for you. So I want to first thank you for joining. 2, I want to wish you luck on the rest of the season. I'm going to try and keep tabs on all you guys because all you guys are incredible athletes, and on top of that, incredible people I got to meet. And 3, I want to thank all the fans for listening and watching this podcast with Ryan Troxel. And don't forget that you can subscribe to the YouTube channel. You can catch out all the other Catching Up with the Corn Dogs on the website. And that's it for this one. I'm Andrew Mild, and thanks for Ryan Troxel again for joining me, and we'll see you next time on Catching Up with the Corn Dogs.